Hi, I'm Eric Engel, the bladesmith here at RazorEmporium, and in today's video we're going to go over honing a straight razor from start to finish. Now, I've already lapped all of our stones, so we won't need to be doing that, and if you need to see how to do it, you can check our last video on honing prep. So that we've got all that done, we just want to make sure we've got everything. We've got our stones. You'll want a magnifying loupe. This is a 12x magnifying loupe. And your straight razor, of course, and something to dry your straight razor, and water. And maybe most importantly, you want your light source so you can see what's going on. So before we get started here, we're going to want to tape our spine. It's very important to do this. It protects the spine so it doesn't get too thin and change the angle of your edge. I've seen hundreds and hundreds of vintage straight razors, and if they have not been taped, they all get worn out in the spine and you actually have to stack tape up to get a good angle on it. And you don't want to do that, so always protect the spine. And we are ready to get started here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you a few strokes. Different methods that I've seen others do and that I use. One that I use is just simply back and forth. And I always start with the heel and make sure I go all the way through to the toe. And that's typically how I start. It just moves things along a little bit quicker. People also use the circle method. I'm not the biggest fan of this method, but if it works for you, it works. I've also seen people kind of use a wave like this. So, the main stroke I use, and I think is the simplest to learn, and will get your razor sharp and ready to shave, is just simply back and forth. And if you'll notice, when I get to the end of the stone, I flip the blade up and back over. If you try the other way, coming down like this and flipping around, it might be a little more natural when you're starting, but it's a good way to damage your blade. So, just going to do that. And particularly when you're starting, and I still do it, whenever I've got a tricky bevel or just want to move a little quicker, you can use two hands. Keep you a little more steady, and make sure you're keeping that whole edge on the stone. That should be pretty good. We're going to dry our edge here and see what's going on. Now you're going to use your loupe and check the edge. One of the things you're looking at is scratch pattern. Now that's not so important at this step, but what you're also searching for is if there's any reflections coming off the very edge of this blade. Now your whole point of honing a razor is to get that edge to be as fine as possible. And once it's that fine, you're not going to catch much light reflecting off the edge. Another good thing to do is to hold this up to the light, and without a loupe or anything, you can kind of see where you need to keep working. And actually on this edge right now, what I'm seeing is right in the middle here, there's a little bit of light reflecting. And what that tells me is I've got a small frown. Nothing to be concerned about. That'll work out easy on a stone, but I need to keep going. And since it's a frown, I'm really focusing on the heel and the toe. So I shrink those up a little bit and get them even with the spot the frown is in. I always like to finish each stone with this simple back and forth stroke here. I find that's just how I get the best edge. And let's check our work here again. See if we've got that little frown out. It looks like it. So what we're going to do is move on to our next stone. And that's going to be our 3K stone here. And again, we've already got it lapped, no need for that. So we'll wet it. And from here on out, each stone's just going to be about the same. We've already got our edge figured out. So now it's just going up in grits to smooth out the edge and get as many of the hash marks in the edge out as we can. So I start again. Just kind of move it along quickly. Do this one. And I'm going to switch it up and do my back and forth strokes. And you want to do maybe 10 laps or so on that. And check your work. So now I know that my edge is formed. I'm not so worried about that. I should have taken care of that on the 1K. Now is when scratch pattern becomes more important. So I'm going to look through the loop and check my scratch pattern. Now everything's looking pretty good. Check the other side. And it looks like on my heel here, I need a little more work. And how I know that is there's a deeper, heavier scratch pattern on my heel. And since I did so many laps, I can see in the front of the blade where it should be. That went pretty well. But I know I need to get the back just a little bit more. So now as I do my strokes, I'm focusing on the shoulder. And go back and forth, always end back and forth. And we're going to check our work. Use the loop. Going to check both sides. And now I can see that the scratch pattern is even all the way throughout the edge. And it looks good to go. We'll be moving on to the next stone. And this stone is our 6K. And we're not going to change up anything here really. We're going to do the same thing we've been doing. And we'll move to back and forth. And we'll dry and check our work. All right, on that one, the scratch pattern, even throughout, we got it right that first time. We're ready to move on to the next stone. But I will take this moment to say you found a frown here. You didn't catch it earlier. You find a little frown or maybe a little chip accidentally happen. Go back to the 1K. Don't try and fix anything this far along the way. It's going to be way, way quicker if you just go back to your 1K, work it out, and start back over. After that, we are on to our 12K stone. This stone is one I recommend everyone get. It is just a great, great finishing stone. It leaves a wonderful polish on the edge. Yeah, it's the Nanowa 12K. Pick it up for sure. Now, ultimately, we're changing up nothing. We're going to do the exact same thing on this stone. And go back and forth. Once you are finished with this stone, if you're looking through a 12K magnifying loupe, you will not see any scratch pattern at all. It will look just like a flat, smooth surface. And that's where we're going to try and get to. Maybe a few extra laps on this one. And we're going to dry and check our work. And we've still got a bit of a scratch pattern going, so we will go again. Now I've been doing this for, I guess, 5 years I've been honing, maybe more. So I do tend to move pretty quick through it. Don't worry about going that fast. Take your time and just get it right. The speed will come with practice. All right, let's see how it looks. And that's got it on that side. Check the other side. We look good. So that razor has been honed from here. We're going to want to remove the tape, clean our spine, make sure it's nice and clean, and then we're going to strop it, and it's ready to shave. I appreciate you checking out this video, and please do check back in for more. I've been Eric Engel, and thank you.